This is the dumbest combo you will ever encounter in set 9. If you're playing it yourself, it will be the most fun you will have in TFT. If you're playing against it, you will report your opponent. I mean, we had toxic combs before, but this one definitely takes the cake. I'm talking, of course, about the double rainbow Warcrime Zephyr stacking twisted looks. Probably gonna have to come up with a better name in the future. This is how it works. Lux has a total of 45 base mana and 25 starting mana. This means if you give her any item that grants her at least 20 mana, like Chalice, Blue Buff or Archangel, she will start the fight with full mana. In a normal sorcerer setup, this will result in Lux firing her laser into the enemy frontline, usually with mixed results. Well, this is where a good old friend Zephyr comes into play. If you don't want Lux to waste her ult into the enemy frontline, you just remove the enemy frontline. There is no range limit to Lux's ability, so you can fire pretty much straight into the enemy carry at the start of the fight, completely disabling the enemy comp. Naturally, this will require a lot of setup, and is also the reason why you need to take Twisted Fate as your legend for Pandora's item as your starting augment. This allows you to reroll your components into multiple Zephyrs and also some useful Lux items later on. How many Zephyrs do you need? Well, the answer is as many as it takes. A good estimate is usually around 4 or 5, since most comps don't really run more frontliners than that. For your core setup, I recommend running a 4 Sorcerer, 3 Demacia setup to add some damage, a free Radiant item, and it leaves you with enough space to run a second or even a third Lux in your backline. Personally, I like spreading some Chalices in the backline, but honestly, you can pretty much go for any items you prefer, as long as you make sure that she starts full mana. This also works great with the Augment Overcharged Mana font, as it grants all of your sorcerers 20 mana at the start of combat, which is exactly the amount you want. In some fights, you will have to adjust your Zephyr and backline positioning, especially in the mid game, when you don't have enough items yet, to make sure that Lux will prioritize high value targets to win you the fight. Now, I'll be very honest. While I do think this comp is hilarious and something everyone should try at least once, the amount of setup required makes it quite difficult to survive in the early mid game until your setup starts to stabilize. You won't make an infinite amount of LP spamming this. In fact, chances are you might be climbing in the wrong direction, but getting revenge on those pesky Tristana players who are conveniently only running 3 frontliners is quite satisfying. I had a blast playing this comp when I got it to work, and I would love to hear from you in the comments about your experiences with or against this strategy. I hope you learned something, and see you next time.
Look at the... What the fuck is this damage? I don't think I've ever seen an Aphelios die so fast. The fuck am I watching? This is dumb. This is freaking super dumb.